I think recently Ubisoft's developments aren't anything to run home about. However, back in 2012, they released what I think is probably the best story game out there, Far Cry 3. A game with a captivating and interesting story, as well as great characters, especially Vaas, who is one of my favourite villains out of all the games I've played. It has some great and interesting moments as well, which if you've played the game, you know what I'm on about. And if you haven't, well, you might want to stick around and find out. Now, it might come as a shock to you to hear that I've never actually played Far Cry 1 and Far Cry 2. I know. So I don't actually know if they're as good, but I'm going to go out on a whim and say that they're not. A totally unbiased opinion based on a lot of evidence. But what I do know is things such as the healing animations have been brought back, which I really like in Far Cry 3, so that'll give the other games some brownie points. Now, let's meet the first characters of the game. There's Jason Brody, who is the main antagonist of the story and actually talks unlike other voiceless characters in other games. There's Grant, who is Jason's older brother, Oliver, Keith and Daisy, who are friends of the group. There's Lisa, Jason's girlfriend, and Riley, Jason's younger brother. This is the group that we see on holiday, right at the beginning of the story, having fun, enjoying their vacation, as young stupid people do. The fun stops when a phone is pulled away from the screen, and we find that Jason and his brother Grant are being held captive by the main antagonist of the game, Vaas Montenegro, an absolute psychopath and the leader of the pirates who currently rule the island that we find ourselves on. It looks like Jason and his brother have been taken to be human trafficked, not the best end to their trip.
Because you two white boys, you look very expensive. And that's good because I like expensive things.
And Vaas talks about how we don't have a dick or something.
I'm the one with the dick! Look at me.
It's great that straight away we have an encounter between the main protagonist and antagonist, and I think sets up the relationship that they have quite nicely. Someone comes and orders Vaas to help with something else. It's Hoyt, but we'll talk about him a bit later. Grant kills the guard watching us and gets us both free. Now we need to escape the compound, but Grant is actually the one doing all the important stuff. We sort of stand back and watch him because Jason isn't exactly the killer type. We grab a map from one of the tables and throw some rocks to lure guards away to allow us to escape. We finally make it out of the pirate camp, and Grant talks about how we're going to find and save all of our friends, and we look at him in awe, and I'm sure nothing bad's gonna happen. We try and save him, but his wound is fatal. This starts the hatred Jason has for Vaas. Vaas gives us 30 seconds to run away from him. And as we are, Pirate jumps down and tries to kill us. And this is when Jason kills his first enemy. We can see this really rattles Jason and he's visibly shaking after doing so. But we don't have time to think about this, as there are still other pirates shooting at us. We try and cross the bridge, however, it is shot down and we fall into a body of water and a hand pulls us up, and then we are shown the title for the game. We wake up in a house, we can hear people talking outside, and we meet the person who saved us. At first we're a little bit sussed out by him, understandably if you've just been kidnapped by pirates.
You have the right to take my life. But no, I will also take yours.
This person is Dennis, and if you forget his name, don't worry, it's on his shirt. Dennis is part of the Rakyat, who are the warriors on the island and are trying to rebel against Vaas and the pirates. Dennis tells us that we are a warrior, and we have been chosen by the Tatau, as we can tell by our arm, which is now covered in weird tribal tattoos. We tell Dennis that we need to find our friends and little brother, and he agrees to help. He takes us out of the house and introduces us to the Amanaki village.
I have Jason Brody with me, the man who escaped Vaas camp alive.
He also gives us some pocket money so we can buy our first weapon. We climb one of the cell phone towers to unlock more visibility on our map, and we go and hunt for our first animal and collect some plants to learn the ways of the jungle. We took a car there, so I'm not sure how much of the jungle we actually learned, but oh well. We go back and talk to Dennis, and we overhear some pirates talking about taking one of our friends to a nearby outpost.
We have one of the Americans. Come, have some fun.
What the hell? Lisa!
Oh, shit!
We head over there, take out the pirates one by one.
Interesting.
Proving that Jason has a fighting chance against Vaas's army. However, when we get inside the main building of the outpost, no one is there. We again overhear pirates talking about how our friend has escaped them and went to the west side of the island. And Dennis tells us that she is safe with one of the doctors, so we head over there and we meet Dr. Earnhardt, who we find has saved and has been looking after our friend Daisy. But unfortunately for her, and now us, she fell into some poisonous plants when escaping the pirates, so now we're going to have to go into one of the caves on the island and retrieve a mushroom. And luckily for us, it's underwater. When we head inside, it turns out that there are other types of mushrooms in this cave, ones that make us trip absolute balls and hallucinate. We still push on and eventually get to the mushroom needed to cure Daisy. And we head back to Dr. Earnhardt's house, give him the mushroom, and then break the news about Grant's death to Daisy. The doctor also agrees to let us bring all of our other friends here when we find them. We phone Dennis and tell him about Daisy, then he tells us about the Medusa, which is a very large cargo ship that has been beached and is now being used by the pirates for communication. We quietly head over there, avoiding any suspicion. We take out all the pirates and find out where Vaas is recording his ransom videos. We call Dennis and tell him what we found out when he rudely interrupts us and tells us to go back to the Abenaki village. When we head back to the village, we speak to Dennis, who asks us to help as Vaas is planning to attack them. We are hesitant, but this guy really convinces us.
I'll do it.
So we head over to where Vaas is holding his weapons, disable the alarms and blow up his storage. Now back to trying to save our friends. We overheard the pirates saying that they are being held somewhere called PC, and Dennis tells us that this could be referring to Pirates Cove, a cave on the edge of the island. After clearing the pirates outside and infiltrating the cave, we find a projector playing a video Vaas has taken of Lisa. Also a tiger for some reason, but no one else is here. Apart from low-level pirates, but we kill them all. At least we thought we did, because one comes up from behind and knocks us unconscious. The screen fades to black and we wake up tied to a chair somewhere. Sat across from us is Lisa, also tied to a chair, and Vaas, covering us in fuel. Very nice of him. He asks us who gave us our tattoos and talks about how he's going to kill his sister, who he thinks gave us them, like he did Grant.
I'm gonna drive a bullet through my sister's skull, like I did your brother Grant.
Fuck you.
Oh yeah, Oliver's just chilling here in the background, but he gets taken away soon after. Vaas goes on to tell us his life story about his family and how the first time he killed us for his sister or whatever. But to be honest, I'm thinking about how this guy hasn't moved for like 5 minutes. Anyway, Vaas gives us a broken lighter, which might be useful later, and then sets the place on fire and crashes my game. The dick. We manage to get free from the chair, however we fall through the floor, and now we have to get all the way back up through the burning building to rescue the damsel in distress, Lisa. We manage to escape the building before it explodes, but we're not safe yet. There's pirates now chasing us, but luckily there's a little grenade launcher in the back of this truck we're escaping in. So we get to blow up the pirates whilst Lisa drives, very brave of Jason to let her do so. And we finally get to safety, away from the pirates, and ask Lisa if she knows where the others are.
They took Oliver to some place called the bunker. I'm not sure about Keith or Daisy.
What about Riley?
I don't know anything about Riley or Grant.
But before we go there, we need to take Lisa to where Daisy is hiding out to make sure she is safe. When we meet back up with Daisy, she tells us she's trying to rebuild an old boat she found in this cave under the doctor's house.
If we can repair it, we have our ticket off the island.
Yeah, and straight to the bottom of the ocean.
Says the boat expert.
We help her find one of the missing boat parts and then speak to Lisa to make sure she's okay, and let her know that we're going to find the others and get off the island. Now it's time to meet Citra, the leader of the Rakyat and Vaas's sister. Thankfully, she's a lot nicer and less crazy than him, kind of. We enter Citra's temple. Jason lays down some serious game.
Do they teach you to speak without permission in America?
No, I learned that in France.
We tell Citra we want to become a warrior, and she gives us something to drink and tells us to bring her what has been lost. After drinking the secret jungle juice, we have another weird trip. One where we're playing poker with our friends underwater when suddenly a man in a suit appears in the distance. We follow him into a building which appears to be filled with smoke inside, and when entering we are transported to a bridge underwater where we start to see flashbacks of Jason. Also, does this trigger anyone else's thalassophobia or is it just me? At the end of the bridge we find a floating ancient knife and grab it before a rock falls on us. We tell Dennis what he saw as he well, I'm not quite sure what he's doing here. But Jason and Dennis agree that they should find the man in the white suit that we saw in our trip. To do that, we head over to Badtown, where the people aren't exactly the most normal.
A war journalist looking for a story to redeem me after I exaggerated the truth.
We enter the building that we saw in our dream and play some poker as to not raise any suspicion when we see the man in the white suit.
Nice play.
We follow him out of the bar and back to his house very sneakily. Luckily he didn't see us.
You have 10 seconds to tell me who you are before I remotely detonate the C4 under the table and this whole place explodes like a pop bottle.
We tell him our name and luckily he lets us live and meet him downstairs. This is Agent Willis Hunley, who is working undercover for the US Army and is a true American patriot. He tells us that Vaas isn't actually the top boss on the island, and it's actually Hoyt Volker. Willis tells us to go to one of his plantations and hands us a flamethrower. I think you know where this is going. This is definitely one of the best missions in the game, blowing up a weed farm while Skrillex is playing. This game definitely came out in the 2010s. After the plantations are destroyed, we head back to Willis, and he drops quite an edgy joke on us.
I love the flamethrower.
Those Germans, what can I say? They know how to light stuff on fire.
Willis also shows us some voice recordings where Hoyt himself is talking about us, showing that Jason is making a name for himself on the island. Now it's time to find Oliver. First, we need to find the encrypted codes that are being used by the pirates to tell each other where he's being transported. And once we have them, we can head over to Oliver's location and snipe the pirates trying to transport him. He definitely seems way too chill in this situation.
Thanks for saving me. Hey, nice tats, man. Let's get out of here!
But Oliver drives the boat whilst we shoot oncoming pirates. And eventually, we escape and can unite Oliver with Lisa and Daisy. Lisa pulls us away to show that she is creating a grave for Grant. Amongst all of the carnage that has happened, Jason hasn't even had time to think about building one. Lisa tells us that she thinks we have changed a lot since being on the island.
I miss you. Okay? And you're carrying all these weapons and you have all these weird tattoos and... I'm not saying you shouldn't go rescue them. I'm just worried it's affecting you.
But we assure her that we are only doing what's necessary to save everyone, and for once in Jason's life, he feels like he is in control. The next person to save is Keith. We head back to Badtown to meet Buck, an Australian businessman who has bought Keith off Hoyt.
Ah, him. He said his name was...
We ask him what he wants in return for Keith, and he hands us a picture of the ancient knife that Citra wanted.
I've seen this knife before.
Knife? Don't a knife. It's not just a fucking knife. It's art.
The first steps to getting it is to head to the boat of a treasure hunter, which has clues on the knife's whereabouts on board. Unfortunately, it's been taken over by Hoyt's men, so we have to take them out first. And when we reach the bottom of the boat, there are a lot of ancient statues and stones, but what we're looking for is this laptop with clues on it and a compass, which is guarded by more pirates, but we deal with him. We try hacking into the laptop, but it causes a hacking alarm to set and explosions are set off, causing the boat to fill with water. Luckily for us, there are oxygen tanks littered around, which makes our escape a lot easier. We get away before the boat explodes, but we lose consciousness.
Jace. Rise and shine. Come on. No, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, mate. But get the fuck up!
We wake up on the beach with Buck and tell him we found the compass, and he said it will lead us to the next thing needed to find the knife. However, when we head to the next destination, surprise, surprise, Buck is already there waiting for us. He gives us a history lesson on the treasure we're trying to find, which Jason doesn't approve of.
Well, come on, ask me. What are they looking for, Buck?
No.
I should cane you for that. I really should. But you know what I won't? I'll cane Keith instead.
But the basic story is that many years ago, there was a Chinese general who had a flagship which contained loads of treasure and the ancient knife. But one day, it just disappeared along with all the riches on board. Later on, a Japanese research group tried to find the treasure and left clues on its whereabouts, which is where we are now. We enter inside and find that the bunker has been nearly completely destroyed, and we also find that Vaas's men have managed to get inside before us, so we have to take them down. We eventually find the entrance to the underground temple, and the pirates have very nicely prepared some dynamite for us to explode it. We continue through the cave and swim under the rocks to get to the other side, and finally reach the temple. Looks like we're going to have to find another way around. We break some wooden pillars to make the water rise, which allows us to climb back up to where we were. We go through the entrance and find a piece of the compass that we needed. We connect all the pieces and the compass starts glowing and tells us where we need to go next.
This is some magical shit.
We arrive. Guess who's waiting for us? Buck.
You fucker. You took your time getting here, didn't you? Personally, I'm worried that your heart's not in it anymore. But Chase, don't worry. Look at Keith. Keith just cries all the time now. Actually, it's become a bit of a drag.
And more pirates. Somehow they've managed to get in here as well. We use the compass to open the entrance to where the treasure is held, and we find another secret entrance to go further underground. Now we have to use this rickety old elevator to get down to the temple, and surprise, surprise, it breaks and nearly kills us. And then we find the final part of the compass,
piece of the compass.
And then everything comes crumbling down on top of us. The compass tells us to jump into this water, which then leads us to where the treasure is being kept. We get inside, and there's more pirates. Are you serious? We traverse over boiling acid and fire traps, and finally, after all this time, we get into the tomb which contains the knife.
There you are.
We barely escape with our lives, and we give the knife to Buck, and as promised, he gives us Keith.
Please, no more. Please, I beg you. I can't take any more. Jason, you gotta get me out of here. I'm begging you, please. You gotta get me out of here, man.
But as we're having a touching reunion with him, Buck comes down with the knife in his hand and says we can't leave. So we have no choice but to fight him to the death and end up killing him with the ancient knife. We take Keith back to the cave to meet up with the others. We assure him that we're going to save Riley next, but Keith drops some news that Riley was killed, meaning both of Jason's brothers have been now killed on the island. Obviously, Jason is distraught by this and swears to himself that he is going to kill all the pirates, and slightly takes his frustration out on Lisa and says that he needs to deal with this loss on his own.
Jason, what's wrong?
Riley's dead.
You need to process this. Why don't you stay here? I can help. I can take care of you.
Stop making this about us!
What are you talking about?
My brother just died, and I need to deal with it on my own, okay?
We have no time to properly mourn the death though, as we need to take the knife back to Citra, who takes us inside the temple and tells us the story of a giant that once guarded the island and a warrior who killed him. I think she might be subtly hinting at something. She tells us to save the Rakyat people, and she will give us the power to save our friends. This is when Dennis comes and tells us that some prisoners have been taken by Vaas and we need to save them. So we laid some explosives down and wait for the convoy to arrive. We go to free the prisoners inside, and
Hey, Jason, did you miss me?
Vaas has us tied up to a brick next to a cliff and starts going on a psychotic rant.
Insanity is doing the exact same fucking thing over and over again, expecting shit to change. That is crazy.
He then talks about how he's tried to kill us twice but has failed, which I kind of get. I feel like I'd be pissed off too.
I'm sorry. I don't like the way you are looking at me. Okay?
He pushes the brick off the ledge and off we go, landing in a pool of water and of course getting free. However, all of our guns have been taken, so now we need to get through the army of pirates carefully and get to the chopper, which Jason believes is where the Rakyat prisoners have been taken. We hijack the chopper, however some dick with an RPG blows it up, and who else but Vaas is waiting for us again. He asks us the same question as before, and then fires a gun straight into Jason's chest.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
The screen fades to black and we awaken under a mountain of bodies where we have to dig ourselves out. Now I know what you're thinking. How did we just survive being shot? Well, remember the broken lighter that Vaas gave us earlier? Well, it looks like that actually blocked the bullet from his gun from actually penetrating us. Now we have to retrieve our things from the pirates, which is actually really hard without guns. And then we head back to the temple to speak to Citra, and she gives us some more special jungle juice to drink. I'm sure this won't do anything weird. Oh my god, what is that? Well, it looks like now we're going to have to defeat this giant ink monster by firing arrows at it and running up its arm to chop its head off. Kind of like that story that Citra told us. After it's defeated, we wake back up and whoa, I don't think our girlfriend Lisa is going to be happy about this. Jason asks Citra who he really is. She tells him he is a warrior and part of the Rakyat. Jason is now well and truly pussy whipped. We stand in front of the Rakyat army, which they've been sat there the whole time. Jason says he will lead the army to glory and kill Vaas, finally embracing his role as the leader of the Rakyat. We head to the compound where Vaas is staying in and force our way in with violence, trying to find where he is.
Peekaboo, motherfucker.
Jason wakes up in some sort of glitchy dream with flashbacks playing and fake Vaas is running towards us. We shoot them away and finally get to the real one and eventually kill Vaas once and for all. And Jason really makes sure he's killed. And has finally got his revenge for both of his brothers. But we're still not finished on the island, as Vaas's boss Hoyt is still breathing. We exit the temple and find Dennis drinking by himself and rambling on about his time in the US.
I worked as a mechanic in a garage.
We head back to our friends and they tell us the boat is almost fixed, but we drop the news that we are staying here on the island and have found our place. Lisa is understandably very upset, but Jason's mind is made up.
Lisa.
I am just trying to get a read on this.
For the first time, I know exactly what I want, and I'm not gonna let it slip away.
You are all grown up. I've been waiting for this forever, and now you're leaving me.
Goodbye, Lisa.
We give Willis a call, and he lets us know that he's leaving the island soon, and agrees to drop us off as he flies past Hoyt's island. We get to the plane and need to protect Willis from some pirates as he repairs the engine before we can take off. And Willis lets us know about an agent he has working within Hoyt's ranks called Sam. Now it's time to use a wingsuit and land on Hoyt's island, an entirely separate part of the map which we haven't explored yet, and is also crawling with Hoyt's armed military personnel. We head to the Crazy Cock's bar and enter the secret poker game that is happening downstairs. This is where we meet none other than Sam, the German agent who used to work with Willis. He is suspicious of us at first, but as soon as we mention Willis's name, we become partners.
Willis sent me.
How is he? I have been concerned about him, hearing nothing all these years.
He actually already knows Jason's name and that we were the one who killed Vaas. But on this part of the island, obviously that doesn't go down well. Luckily, Hoyt actually doesn't know what Jason looks like, so we plan to disguise ourselves as one of the new recruits and take our time to get close to Hoyt. To do this, we head over to the docks where the new recruits are being processed and kill one of them and take their uniform. Once we've done this, it's time to listen to Hoyt's introduction speech, where he kindly tells us if we break any rules, we'll end up like this guy, and also talks about Jason.
Ah, I almost forgot. We have a special on this man. Your very own island. For the head of Jason Brody.
Oh, if only he knew. Now that we have the recruit suit on, we can roam the island freely and don't have to worry about getting gunned down every 5 minutes. To gain Hoyt's trust, we defuse some bombs which have been planted on one of his farms and also get a list of traitors from one of the pirate bosses, which gets us a one-on-one meeting with Hoyt himself. We go by the name Foster because Jason Brody might raise suspicion.
Yeah, join me for a celebratory cohiba. That was quite a show down there.
I don't really smoke.
Oh, you're concerned about cancer. That's goose shit. Cancer won't be what kills you.
He tells us about his whole operation going on and offers us a chance to get into his inner circle. To do this, we need to go down and beat up one of the prisoners Hoyt has downstairs to get some information from him. When we go downstairs, we find one of the guards watching some familiar videos, and when entering the cell, we find that the prisoner we are interrogating is actually Jason's younger brother, who he thought was dead.
Oh, fuck. Riley.
But Hoyt is watching on the camera, so we have to act the part. A very sad situation the two brothers find themselves in. Sam disrupts the camera for a moment, and we explain to Riley what's going on. He actually gives us permission to punch him. Jason has a strong realization that he no longer knows who he's become and starts to reflect on himself. However, the deed is now done, and Hoyt trusts Jason, aka Foster, and invites him to a poker night.
I want him dead.
I have a plan in place.
Sam and Jason come up with a plan to first blow up the satellite dish that Hoyt uses to communicate on the island, and also blow up his fuel stations to create a distraction. Honestly, the fuel station mission nearly broke me. I couldn't figure out how to do it for ages. But after both of these things are done, we can now enter Hoyt's compound again, and Sam makes us aware that there is no going back after this. Tensions are high between Sam and Jason as they start to play poker with Hoyt. The game begins, and I'm assuming Hoyt's had a bad card or something because... bit of an overreaction, or it's because he realised who we actually are. He forces us to play the rest of the game until we've had enough, and he cuts off one of our fingers. Then it's time for the final showdown between Hoyt and Jason. Jason kills Hoyt, the last person in his way, and we head out of the compound. Before we killed Hoyt, he told us that Riley is being transported via airplane to some human traffickers who have bought him. So now we need to head over to the airfield before it's too late. Whilst we're on the way, we get a phone call from Lisa, and she sounds like she's in trouble, but the phone cuts off before we can make out what she's saying.
Hello? Jason, where are you? They're taking it. I don't know where. We need your help.
What? I can't hear you!
As fast as you can.
What the fuck?
We find Riley and free him. However, the only way out is a chopper. Luckily, Riley has his pilot license for planes, which is definitely transferable, and flies us away from the airfield whilst we shoot the enemies chasing us. We head back to the doctor's hideout. We find that the house has been set on fire and the doctor is laying on the floor bleeding. He tells us that the jungle warriors came and took our friends to the temple before breathing his last breath. We head over to the temple and ask Citra what's going on when she blows some magic dust in our face, which knocks us unconscious.
I'm helping you.
We wake up tied by a rope, and Citra talks about how she loves us, but we are not becoming who we truly are. And we start to trip again and walk down a fiery path with the ancient knife in our hand. We see images of a giant Lisa with the red eyes and a mask on, trying to convince us that we are insane, which she might be right. And at the end of the path is when we now have to make a decision. Either kill our friends and become the true leader of the Rakyat, or save them, leave the island and this life behind. Killing your friends makes you wake up in a naughty scene with Citra, where she claims to love you dearly. Maybe not. You fade away and only know that your offspring will now be forced to lead the Rakyat and stay on the island forever. The other choice, to save your friends, means that they now all live. However, Dennis ends up killing Citra when actually trying to kill us. Dennis is distraught by this and we leave him to mourn. The group of friends then leave the island and never look back. Can you tell why I love this game now? The Far Cry 3 story is amazing and the characters are unforgettable. Apart from Keith. Looking back on when I used to play this game, I don't think I appreciated how good it was. I used to just go around skinning boars and blowing up cars like any normal 10-year-old did.